Most people believe they are aware of what they are doing when they walk, but in reality, they are operating on autopilot. Their body is moving, but their mind is somewhere else, lost in worries, replaying conversations, stressing about the future, or holding on to the past. This disconnect is subtle, yet powerful, and it creates a chain reaction inside the body that many fail to recognize. When awareness is absent, movement becomes mechanical, careless, and inefficient. And over time, this lack of conscious control begins to wear the body down in ways that are not immediately obvious. As you move through your day, notice how often you are truly present in what you are doing. When you walk, are you aware of how your feet touch the ground? Are you paying attention to your posture, your breathing, the tension in your shoulders, or the rhythm of your steps? Or are you simply moving from one place to another while your mind drifts elsewhere? This is where the problem begins. The body follows the mind, and when the mind is distracted, the body loses its natural alignment and intelligence. After the age of 50, this becomes even more critical because the body no longer compensates as easily as it once did. In younger years, you can get away with poor habits because your muscles, joints, and nervous system are more adaptable. But as time passes, those small inefficiencies begin to accumulate. A slight forward lean becomes a chronic posture issue. A bit of tension in the shoulders turns into stiffness and pain. Shallow breathing reduces oxygen flow, affecting energy levels and overall vitality. All of this starts with a lack of awareness. When you walk without awareness, you also lose control over how your body distributes weight. Instead of moving with balance and coordination, you may unconsciously favor one side of your body. This creates uneven pressure on your joints, especially in your knees and hips. Over time, this imbalance can lead to discomfort, inflammation, and even long-term joint damage. The body is designed to move in harmony, but without conscious attention, that harmony is disrupted. There is also a deeper layer to this: your emotional state. The thoughts you carry while walking influence your physical condition. If your mind is filled with stress, your body tightens. Your steps become heavier, your breathing becomes restricted, and your muscles remain slightly contracted. This constant tension drains energy and puts unnecessary strain on your system. On the other hand, when you walk with calmness and clarity, your body responds by relaxing, aligning, and functioning more efficiently. Awareness transforms walking from a routine activity into a powerful tool for health. It allows you to notice small details that make a big difference. You begin to feel whether your steps are too heavy or too uneven. You become aware of whether your head is tilted forward or aligned with your spine. You notice if your breathing is shallow or deep. These observations give you the ability to make adjustments in real time, preventing long-term damage before it even begins. Many people underestimate how much control they actually have over their physical state. They assume that discomfort, stiffness, or fatigue is simply a natural part of aging. But often, it is not age itself. It is the accumulation of unconscious habits repeated over years. Walking without awareness is one of those habits. It seems harmless because it is so common, but its effects are profound when practiced daily without correction. Developing awareness is not complicated, but it requires intention. It starts with slowing down mentally, even if your walking pace remains the same. Instead of letting your thoughts wander uncontrollably, you bring your focus back to the present moment. You feel each step as it happens. You notice the contact between your feet and the ground. You observe your posture without judgment, simply becoming conscious of it. This simple shift begins to change everything. As awareness increases, your movements naturally improve. You don't have to force perfect posture or overthink every step. The body has an innate intelligence, and when you give it attention, it starts to correct itself. Your spine begins to align, your shoulders relax, and your steps become smoother and more balanced. Energy flows more freely, and walking becomes less tiring and more invigorating. There is also a sense of control that comes with awareness. Instead of feeling like your body is declining with age, you begin to realize that you have influence over how it functions. This shift in perspective is powerful because it changes the way you approach your health. You move from being passive to being proactive. You stop ignoring small signs and start responding to them early. Another important aspect is consistency. Awareness is not something you practice once and forget. It is something you bring into your daily routine, especially during activities as frequent as walking. Each time you walk, you have an opportunity to reinforce better patterns. Over time, these patterns become natural, and what once required effort becomes automatic in a positive way. Without awareness, even the simplest activity can become harmful when done incorrectly over long periods. With awareness, that same activity becomes a source of strength, balance, and vitality. The difference lies not in the act itself, but in the quality of attention you bring to it. What most people overlook is how something so small, so ordinary, repeated day after day, quietly shapes the condition of the body. A single walk done with poor habits may not seem harmful. You won't feel the damage immediately. There's no sudden pain, no dramatic signal that something is wrong. But the body is always recording what you do. Every step you take leaves an imprint. And when those steps are repeated thousands of times over weeks, months, and years, those small imperfections begin to compound into something much larger. Think about the nature of repetition. Walking is one of the most repeated movements in your life. You don't do it once or twice, you do it constantly. That means even the smallest mistake is not small anymore. It multiplies. A slight misalignment in your step, a subtle forward lean, a bit of stiffness in your movement, these seem insignificant in isolation, but when repeated over time, they become patterns. And patterns, once established, are powerful. They shape how your body moves, how it feels, and how it ages. After the age of 50, this principle becomes even more important because your body is less forgiving. It doesn't recover as quickly, and it doesn't adapt as easily to poor habits. What you repeat, you reinforce. If you continue to walk with improper mechanics, your joints begin to bear stress they were never designed to handle. Your knees may start to feel pressure, your hips may tighten, your lower back may begin to ache. These are not random problems. They are the result of accumulated habits playing out over time. Consider something as simple as the way your foot strikes the ground. If you land too heavily or unevenly, the impact travels upward through your body. It affects your ankles, your knees, your hips, and even your spine. Now imagine that happening not just once, but thousands of times every week. The body can tolerate a certain amount of stress, but when that stress is repeated consistently without correction, it begins to break down. This is how small mistakes evolve into chronic discomfort or long-term issues. Posture works the same way. A slight forward tilt of the head might not feel like a problem in the moment, but over time it shifts the balance of your entire body. Your neck muscles have to work harder, your shoulders round forward, and your spine loses its natural alignment. This creates tension, reduces efficiency, and can lead to fatigue and pain. Again, it's not the single instance that causes harm. It's the repetition of that posture over time. Even your pace plays a role in this process. Walking too fast without proper control can create unnecessary strain, while walking too slowly with poor form may reduce the effectiveness of the movement. If this becomes your daily pattern, your body adapts to it. But adaptation is not always beneficial. The body adapts to what you give it, whether it's good or bad. If you give it inefficient movement, it becomes efficient at being inefficient, reinforcing the very habits that are working against you. There is also an invisible cost to these small mistakes: your energy. When your body is not moving efficiently, it uses more energy to perform the same task. Muscles that should be relaxed remain tense. Movements that should be smooth become rigid. Over time, this drains your energy levels, leaving you feeling more tired than you should be from a simple walk. Many people assume this is just part of getting older, but often it is the result of accumulated inefficiencies in how they move. Breathing is another factor that is often overlooked. If your posture is slightly off or your body is tense, your breathing becomes shallow. This reduces oxygen intake, which affects your stamina, your mental clarity, and even your mood. Again, one instance of shallow breathing is not a problem, but when it becomes your default pattern during daily walks, it contributes to a gradual decline in overall vitality. What makes these small habits so dangerous is that they are easy to ignore. They don't demand your attention. They don't force you to change. You can continue repeating them without immediate consequences, which creates a false sense of security. You think everything is fine because nothing feels wrong right now, but the body operates on accumulation, not just immediate feedback. By the time discomfort appears, the pattern has already been established for a long time. On the other hand, this same principle can work in your favor. Small, positive adjustments, when repeated consistently, can create powerful improvements in your health. A slight correction in posture, a more balanced step, a relaxed shoulder, a deeper breath. These may seem minor, but when practiced daily, they begin to reshape how your body functions. Over time, these small improvements add up, just as the negative habits did before. The key is understanding that nothing you do repeatedly is neutral. Every habit is either moving you toward better health or gradually pulling you away from it. There is no middle ground when it comes to consistent action. Walking, because of its frequency, becomes one of the most influential habits in your life. It has the power to strengthen your body or slowly wear it down, depending on how you approach it. When you begin to see walking through this lens, your perspective changes. You realize that it's not just about taking steps, it's about how you take them. You become more attentive to the details, not out of fear, but out of understanding. You recognize that small changes are not insignificant. They are the foundation of long-term results. This awareness gives you the ability to interrupt negative patterns before they become deeply ingrained. Instead of waiting for discomfort or pain to signal a problem, you take control early. You refine your movement, adjust your habits, and create a new pattern that supports your body rather than working against it. Over time, this consistent attention to small details transforms the way you move, the way you feel, and the way your body responds to daily activity. Most people assume that walking is something they already know how to do, something they learned as a child and never needed to revisit. It feels automatic, familiar, and effortless, so they never question it. But what they fail to recognize is that just because something is natural does not mean it is optimal. Over time, habits form, movements adapt, patterns develop, often without conscious choice, and these patterns, once repeated long enough, become the default way the body operates. If those patterns are inefficient or misaligned, they don't just stay the same. They deepen and become harder to change. Reprogramming your movement begins with accepting a simple truth. Walking is a skill, and like any skill, it can be refined, improved, and mastered. It is not fixed. It is not something that must remain the way it has always been. Your body is constantly learning, constantly adapting, constantly responding to the instructions you give it through repetition. If you have been walking with poor habits for years, your body has learned those habits well. But that also means it can learn something new if you give it the right input. The challenge is that the body prefers familiarity. It will continue to do what it has always done because it feels comfortable even if it is not beneficial. This is why change requires conscious effort in the beginning. You have to interrupt the automatic patterns and introduce new ones. This may feel unnatural at first, even slightly uncomfortable, not because it is wrong, but because it is different. The body is adjusting to a new way of moving, a new set of instructions. One of the first steps in reprogramming movement is slowing down your awareness, not necessarily your pace, but your attention. Instead of rushing through your walk on autopilot, you begin to observe what is actually happening. You notice how your feet land, how your weight shifts, how your posture aligns. You don't try to fix everything at once. You simply become aware. This awareness creates a gap between what you have been doing and what you can choose to do differently. From this point, small adjustments begin to take place. You might gently straighten your posture, allowing your spine to lengthen naturally rather than forcing it into a rigid position. You might relax your shoulders, letting go of unnecessary tension. You might pay attention to how your feet connect with the ground, aiming for a smoother, more balanced step. These changes are subtle, but they are powerful when practiced consistently. Repetition is the key to reprogramming. Just as your old habits were formed through repeated action, new habits must be built the same way. Each time you walk, you have an opportunity to reinforce the new pattern. At first, it requires focus. You may need to remind yourself to stay aware, to maintain alignment, to move with intention. But over time, these actions begin to feel more natural. The body starts to accept them as the new normal. There is also an element of patience involved. Many people expect immediate results, but the body does not transform overnight. It adapts gradually. The nervous system needs time to integrate new patterns, muscles need time to adjust, and joints need time to respond to improved alignment. If you rush the process or become frustrated, you may fall back into old habits. Consistency, not intensity, is what creates lasting change. Another important aspect is letting go of the idea that movement must be forced or exaggerated to be effective. Reprogramming is not about overcorrecting or trying to walk in an unnatural way. It is about returning to a more balanced, efficient form of movement. When your body is aligned and your movements are coordinated, walking feels easier, not harder. There is less strain, less tension, and more flow. Your environment can also influence this process. Walking on different surfaces, paying attention to your surroundings, and varying your pace slightly can help your body become more adaptable. The goal is not perfection, but awareness and improvement. Each step becomes an opportunity to refine your movement to make it smoother, more controlled, and more efficient. Mental focus plays a crucial role here as well. If your mind is distracted, it becomes difficult to maintain new patterns. This is why presence is so important. When you are fully engaged in the act of walking, you give your body the best chance to learn and adapt. You begin to feel the difference between tension and relaxation, between imbalance and alignment. This feedback allows you to make adjustments in real time. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. What once required effort becomes automatic. The new patterns replace the old ones, and your body starts to move in a way that supports its structure rather than working against it. Your posture improves without conscious effort. Your steps become more balanced and controlled. Your energy levels increase because your body is no longer wasting effort on inefficient movement. This transformation is not just physical, it changes the way you experience walking. It becomes less of a routine task and more of a conscious activity that supports your overall well-being. You begin to feel more connected to your body, more in control of your movement, and more confident in how you carry yourself. Reprogramming your movement is ultimately about taking responsibility for how you use your body. It is about recognizing that even the most basic actions can be improved with attention and intention. You are not limited by the habits you have developed in the past. You have the ability to change them, to refine them, and to create a new way of moving that supports your health and longevity.